discrepancies. So you've got good common mode rejection. Put 2 probes in it, and then if you bend the plant or squeeze it or so on, it's supposed to alter the voltage or generate a voltage or something. So I quickly built the thing up here on the breadboard. Very, very sensitive. But I find that the galvanic, I've got 2 pins, normal clothes sewing pins on the ends of the input wires, and I stick it into the plant. But the galvanic action between the pin and the juice inside the plant is already generating a hell of a voltage. So you have to keep on nulling this out until that's sort of settled. But it's not a very stable situation. So yes, I don't know if anybody has some suggestions about that. I've tried AC coupling it, but no, not really. Maybe if I make it a very, very long time constant AC coupling. But anyway, oh yes, and Gary, my Buffalo package arrived on, it was last Friday. No, was it Monday? No, it was this Monday. They contacted me again and asked me, your address, is that the correct address? I said, yes, man, that's the address I've been using for years. My shipping address. I never changed that. Okay. They'll give it through to Buffalo. And the next day, it was about Tuesday evening-ish almost. Yeah, knock on the door. Here's a courier with a package. I couldn't believe it. So it doesn't get stuck over there in China. It gets stuck here in South Africa, in Johannesburg. So yeah, they used to work so nicely, but now I don't know what's happened to them. Anyway, so yeah, here it is. This is one of the. This is a transmitter. It's a HDMI link, RF link. The receiver looks identical, and the quality is quite good, although it suffers the same problems as we have on DSTV. If you have a lot of fine detail on the camera and you pan the camera too quickly, then it freezes. So they say the pass band is like 189 megasymbols or something, which I would have thought would be enough, but it doesn't seem to be. You must make very, very rapid, large, full frame movements. But yeah, like this, it wouldn't mind. It'll be fine. Anyway, it will do the job that I want to do it, that I want it for. I must just see if I can increase the range. They say it's guaranteed for 200 meters. Well, actually for me that should be enough, because I mount this on my camera, which is now fully remote controlled by radio. I leave the camera at the launch point and I can be in the blockhouse and at least now see where I'm aiming. And when the rocket takes off, I just go on the elevation and so I should be able to follow it if I'm quick enough. And then I can also zoom in when it's getting smaller. But yes, we'll have to see. I'll have to go down to the range at some time and check this lot out, because that blockhouse has got like thick concrete walls. I mean, it must be able to withstand a big rocket crashing down on it. Anyway, that's about it from me for now. So Peter, Gary, don't forget about the Grundig satellite. Peter, GW7BZY for the group from ZS1 Mike.
I don't know where Peter is. Hoping to reclaim his crown, but But at this rate, Peter, I'm afraid you've just lost it. It's tumbled under the table. Anyway, oh dear, it's a wonderful world we live in. Right, if Peter's not around, will you take it, Phil? GWZ, what's it, 7PZY, GW7BZY, failing which, Mike 0PIT, to please then take it if Peter does not make his appearance from ZS6YI.
Right, there we go. Have we got audio? Yes, we have audio. Yeah, I don't know where Peter's got to, but as Chris says on the chat, he's probably still getting dressed in his robes. But there we go. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening to everyone. Nice to see you, Gary. Yes, it can be quite debilitating, that shingles, especially if it gets in the eye, which apparently it can. But I thought I would have been inoculated for it, because in the UK you can get inoculated. I thought I was, but I checked up and apparently I haven't been inoculated. But I will be as of Tuesday, so that's something to look forward to, a needle in the arm. And talking about needles, Leon, sticking pins in plants, that sounds really cruel. I'm sure you're going to get into trouble from somebody sticking pins into plants. I presume you don't use an anaesthetic, because that will probably muck up the readings. There you go. What have I been up to? Well, not a great deal really. But a couple of weeks ago, I designed a printed circuit board, and using KiCad, and that's thanks to Mike's tutorial, which is absolutely brilliant, because it takes it from a blank schematic right the way through to ordering the boards themselves. So I decided that I wanted to design myself a universal filter board for making up filters for like 2 meters, etc, etc. So using KiCad, and with the help of with the help of Mike video, I ordered myself, or designed myself, some filter boards. 5 of them I ordered, and I shall show you what I got back. This is my design, and I would like you to spot the deliberate mistake that I've made. The idea of the board is you basically just solder components onto the island, onto each island, etc. What is the deliberate mistake if you haven't spotted it? Well, it's very simple. It's very obvious, actually. That's one of the boards that I've actually made up. I didn't realise that by default you get solder resist, and because there is no circuit no schematic associated with the boards, it filled it with solder resist. I didn't realise that if you don't want the solder resist, you have to go into one of the layers and basically remove it. So anyhow, I've got 5 more on order, this time with the solder resist removed from one side. But this one here, and that's a filter board just for 2 meters, and it was really done as an experiment, and you should be able to put on all sorts of RF type filters. Obviously you can't go up to a gigahertz with it because it's on FR4, and that won't really take very, very high frequencies, but it's certainly okay for probably up to about 800 megs. Well, maybe we'll be pushing it at 800, but anyhow, there it is. It's just a generic board, and so I built it and tweaked it slightly, and it on the analyzer it looked pretty good. And the idea is these are these little tin boxes, and they were basically just fit inside there with the correct type of SMA bulkhead connectors that will fit in there. So yeah, so that was my little experiment during the week, and apart from the solder resist, it was successful. And the other thing is the cost. Oh, it's amazing. How can they produce circuit boards out there like that? I think those boards cost me something just over £2 in English money. Probably cost me more in package and posting. But I think the boards cost me about £2. That's absolutely amazing. But there we go. Right. It will come off with acetone. Oh, will it, Mike? I didn't think about acetone. I thought that it was some sort of something stronger than that. But I'll try it. I do have acetone for when I've made printed circuit boards, and I'll try that. As I say, I used a Dremel on it, and realising that I don't know what I'm doing to the wires, because the wires got a lot of them on there. It's probably taken the tops off, but yeah, okay, I will. Sandpaper would do just as well. Yeah, I used a Dremel with a rotary pad thing on it, and it was okay. But acetone, go on and just wipe it off. Mind you, probably have to leave it for a little bit. Mind you, it will then go onto the other side if you ain't careful. So anyhow, I've got some new ones coming. They're so damn cheap. Anyhow, right then, Mike, if you're going to if you're coming on next, I'll give you a little bit of warning. I don't see it'll be worth. Oh, Peter's just saying that it'll be worth the wait him coming on. Well, I think his crown has slipped slightly. Anyhow, Mike, I'm going to hand it over to you. This is M0PIT. Going to hand it over to the king of printed circuit boards, certainly with KiCad. Anyhow, let's get a test card. There's my test card. So if you any
I don't know about ready. Yeah, thank you, Phil. Glad you found that useful. there's a way to do this to mask off the areas where you don't want the solder resist, but it's also just simple matter of putting down a pad where you want to be able to solder to it. Anyway, never mind. This is how you learn, and it's about £4 with the postage, isn't it? If you get the cheap Chinese post, you just have to wait for a fortnight, but for £4 you can complain. Right, hopefully this thing will be standing up. Someone was complaining that they couldn't get their Bluetooth to work, so I had to go, and I installed DATV Easy to demonstrate that it did work, which it did. And unfortunately DATV Easy messes with the settings, so I had to set them back again, and I just realised that I hadn't got them all set right, but I think I have now. I'm seeing myself. If you're seeing me, that's all good. Now, what was I going to talk about? I was going to talk about this actually, and let me just go to the desktop and show you. I've been doing some CAD, at least the past few days I've been doing some CAD, and funny you should mention PCBs actually, because if I swap back over, this is the PCB that I designed years ago, and I've redone it. And in fact, I thought Jem was going to do an article for CQTV, but he hasn't yet. So anyway, what is it? It's for ports down, and this is FreeCAD, which is sort of a partner to KeyCAD, and note key and not Chi, however people will argue. So I'm making a plastic box for it to 3D print, and I'm keeping an eye on it because it's running out of filament and I'll need to change the filament halfway through. But this is basically what I've been working on in the past couple of days, and if I rotate it around, you'll hopefully see that there is a screen here. Oops. Let's do it the easy way. For some reason it doesn't centre it on the screen, and then it puts it the wrong way around, but you get the idea. So that's the 7-inch screen, and if we go back round to the other side of it, you can see the idea of a case, and maybe you can see through the holes that there's a Raspberry Pi in there, and hopefully the resolution will be good enough. Now, of course, with it being CAD, you can do stuff like take the top off. And what I was just messing with before the net was this loudspeaker here, which is the wrong size, but it's a little bit bigger than the one I'm planning to put in there. But seeing if that fits, and even that one fits, so hopefully the other one will. Amplifier will go there. Anyway, this board that I just showed you made up looks a bit like that, and I'll show you a real one in a minute. In fact, if I go to top view, you can see it now. I'm actually in an isomeric mode at the moment, rather than so it's not true perspective. I think orthographic it's called. If I go into perspective, maybe it'll be a bit easier to see how things are organised inside the box. Anyway, that is the board that I developed, and it's sitting on top of a Raspberry Pi, and all of that is sitting on top of one of these screens that we were talking about in the previous net. Let's turn it back on again, and if I start deleting layers, maybe that will help show things. So I'll just take that one away, and then I will take this bit away, and I'll take away the loudspeaker, and you can see now the screen is encased in a sort of a thing to hold it up. Now that is the thing that's designed to hold it, because it needs screws in from the back. And if I now take away some more bits, there's the screen, and there's a front which I've turned off at the moment as well. So it all built around that, and of course nothing new here to Gary, but there we go. So each bit is built up, and then they come out as STLs, which you can 3D print. and that's what I'm doing at the moment. So let's turn the bezel back on. That's where we start from, the screen bezel, and then the various bits that go between that. Let's have our pie back. You get the idea. And the reason it's floating in air, incidentally, is because there are some standoffs underneath that you need to use those screens. Then we put on the sides again, if I can find them. Where's it gone? Well, let's put on that one. There we go. You can see the loudspeaker doesn't fit because it's too big. Anyway, right, there we go. So I'm not going to put any more bits of there because you won't be able to see inside it then. You probably didn't see the bits as they were appearing. And the idea of doing it in 3D is because you can see if everything's going to fit and if things are going to foul each other or not, which is quite important. And clearly that loudspeaker is too big. So I need to find a model of a smaller one or make one, but I think I don't really need to do that. Okay, so after boring everyone rigid for a bit, I'll now go to the reality, because I did one earlier in best Blue Peter fashion. So if I go to the wandering camera, which is currently looking very closely at the audio socket, this is the one I did earlier, which had a smaller enclosure without a speaker, which is fine if that's what you want, with the board in there so you can see reality versus non-reality. There's the screen, little audio amplifier to go in there, and here's the real speaker that will go in that other one, which is a bit smaller. Hopefully, oops, that was enough of that. Otherwise, not been doing very much, so not a lot to report really. I couldn't make it on last week, and I'm not going to make it on next week because it is the AMSAT UK colloquium, which the RSGB convention is being held alongside. So we'll all be in Milton Keynes. We might have some signals to receive or transmit on QO-100 to be decided. Okay, so I need to pass it back to Peter, don't I? Hopefully, Peter, you've sorted out the gremlins. I don't know, GW7BZY, G0MJW.
Okay. Turn down the power a little bit. I think I'm on. Let's just check. There we go. GW7BZ. Well, hopefully synchronized. I've been working on the video encoder, but I'm still having problems with the audio. So. I don't know why I'm shouting either. I turn the sound down. I won't have to shout quite so much. Maybe bring the microphone a little closer. Yeah, what I've been doing, I've been learning how to instruct the NVEC and video encoder to do more of what I want for the limited bandwidth. So I've got some look ahead going, as well as some from zero latency to medium latency and various other things to improve the image. And I've gone back to DATV Red. I've managed to reprogram the firmware, the Pluto, successfully. Why it worked this time and hadn't worked many other times, I don't know, but keep trying, I suppose, isn't it? There was always 50-50 between bricking it and making it work, and being lucky this time and got it working. I did buy a new fan for my PA.
silent fan, apparently, and it is silent, and it's meant to move 30 or 40 CFMs, cubic feet per minute. I don't know who measured it, but it's hardly a breeze. So whilst it was very quiet, it wasn't going to cool the PA, so I put the original one back in. So I don't know if you can hear the noise, but I'm forced to use that NVIDIA noise reduction thing, which seems to chop the front of every word off, or a good part of it anyway. So it's a bit of a disaster. But that is in hand. I've got a second power supply coming, a little voltage converter that will reduce the voltage and make it a little quieter. I'm probably shouting because I can't hardly hear myself in here. Never mind anything else. That's about it, really. Hopefully, I'll take comment on the picture. I have worked something at it. I am, just for you to understand, 33 kilosymbols, which is not a lot. And that is working pretty good, I'd say. From GW, who am I handing it around to? Very interesting, everything there. Very interesting what you're doing, Mike. I'm not going to go on about myself only. But yeah, interesting stuff all around. And Leon there, yes. Plant. When you said plant, I was thinking of factory equipment. And then it became clear that you were talking about plants. But I'm sure it's more interesting why you want to censor these plants, have sensors on these plants, and more than how are you doing it. But yeah, maybe you'll fill us in on that. It sounds very interesting. And Phil, good to see you in there. And of course, Gary. I was forced to improve my circumstances this end, as I felt that you kind of shamed me last time. From GW7BZY, over to you. ZS6YI from GW7BZY. Maybe with a test card. We're going to roll a test card in just because I can.
Okay, let's see if my signal's coming up. Very good, Peter, very good. Looks like you found the crown again. And it seems to be sitting quite straight on the head. Well done. I had to laugh at some comments, looking for your garment and so forth, your gown. And it's good fun when one can pull legs on this net. Okay, let's just get back to business. Firstly, Mike, welcome back. And I do know where you were. I don't think you are ready to give a condensed report to us. I just hope it's all well for amateur radio. Who's this now? Okay, so just a chap watching. And yeah, I got the stream running again. We have 34 people viewing. And I want to say hi to Sandor. Haven't seen you for a long time, Sandor. I hope you're keeping well. The M4 Delta Sierra. And of course, hello to Rudolph and to Peter, DK3ZF. And Nigel, of course, is on. And Antonio in Italy. Ciao, Antonio. I hope you're well. So it's good to have some of the old guys back watching at least. And we certainly hope more people will join. Yeah, Phil, I also had to have a bit of a chuckle at your comment on the crown. However, Peter came back with interest, so well done, Peter. And also very interesting, I was going to suggest exactly the same acetone, or you can even use paint thinners. We'll remove it quite quickly, and then a little bit of sandpaper just to get rid of the thing and shine it up again. And then, of course, just neutralize the thinners with a bit of water and you'll be okay. But, yeah, it is remarkably inexpensive to think what one can do. And it certainly makes experimenting a lot easier. Right, now to come back on the satellite. I got the satellite working not too badly. I had to change the oscillator, if you can remember, Leon, for the FM band. And then I wasn't terribly happy with it because I still wasn't happy with the biasing on the amplifier, the audio amp. And so it's still open and it's lying under the table here. And every now and then I think, hell, I must finish this thing. And but then something else pops up. Incidentally, I must tell you, I have to take my hat off to Leo Bodner. I sent a doctor friend of mine, went to visit my daughter and her husband in the UK. So I said, listen, Harold, take some of these GPSs that had been hit by lightning. I had 4 of them that I could find. I don't even know where I put the others. But anyway, I said, take this along. And I did speak originally to Leo himself and then to a guy called Stephen in their repair department. Anyway, Natalie sent it off to them last week, I think, or the week before, I think on the Thursday. And by the next Thursday, I had them all back at Natalie. And it was remarkably cheap, if I can put it that way. I think they charged something like £56, and all 4 are apparently working. And so Natalie's got them back at her QTH, and she's coming out to see us in about 2 weeks' time, and we'll just bring them along. But I must say that was excellent service, very, very fast, and you know, they do back up their product, even though it's not their fault. This was a direct lightning strike. So kudos to Leo Bodner for sure. And then Mike, yeah, I'd like to hear about, but if it's still a little bit secret, we'll leave it for another day. But your venture to the IARU, be interesting to hear what transpired there. I just hope we can keep some of our handbands and so forth, but no doubt if there was any mention of that, you would have fought very valiantly on our behalf. Leon, yeah, that pot plant thing we were talking about earlier, I don't want to steal your thunder, but I do want to say Leon's got a relative. She's in the music industry at the university, a professor of music, and she comes up with weird and wonderful things for Leon to build, and so far it's been highly successful. Some of the things he's built for her music classes, it's now really crazy instruments, but Leon can fill you more about that. They've landed up being demonstrated at the various university campuses, and also what do they call them, seminars they have. So she uses Leon to do all the crazy work. It's almost like a modern artist, you know. They have a bone through the nose and a green tie and a red shirt, and then they suddenly can design motor cars. I have some of those guys in my employ, so I know their character. They're crazy, but sometimes they come up with some clever things. Anyway, all to his own, I suppose. Phil, yeah, excellent on that PC board, and as usual, a very good signal from your side, no problem. Yeah, I'm still suffering from the shingles. If you look carefully, my left eye, if we're blinking at you, you can see it's a bit red still. It luckily didn't go too much in the eye, but you don't feel well with this. And then I was at work every day in the morning, but I came home early, which is not really usual. You're offline. Check your connections and try again. Here, and I'm back online. I don't know why. I do find this on the internet. I've got a very fast line, but sometimes it's intermittent. You get a little break. So those guys watching, apologies for this offline business. It's nothing I can do about that. It is the service provider. I'm sure it's all fiber optics, but I don't know what's going on. We've got a really crazy thing in our area. They're busy changing all the drains for rainwater, etc. And these missing links have got no idea on how to plan a thing. And so they get in there with back actors and they just pull up everything, cables and all. It's about the 4th time the poor supplier of the fiber optics has had to go and rejoin cables because these guys just dig in. They couldn't care 2 dams. And they no sooner done, and these fellows open it up again because they didn't do the job right the first time. You've got no idea. This so-called BEE bull that we have in South Africa has completely crippled the country. Anyway, that's politics. Let's stay off that, or shall I say that's just common sense. However, be that as it may, Leon, I'll pass it to you, sir. And excellent signal, by the way, Peter, no problem. And I see you've got DATV Red back up. Yeah, I want to get mine back up again. I think I found the reason for the problem, and so we'll get that sorted, because it is a very nice system that OHAN developed there. Right, back to you, Leon. ZS1 Mexico to take it, and the whole group from ZS6YI.
Okay, thanks Gary. ZS6YI and the group ZS1 Mike returning. Yes, okay, yeah, that's right. You told me about the Grundig that you weren't happy with the bias and so on the audio amp. On my, what is mine? Mine is the Telefunken Bajazzo Deluxe. The amplifier is excellent, even though it's the germanium transistors. It's beautiful. But the little inverter for the 30 volts for the Vericap tuning, that thing is not as stable as it should be. I think I'm going to make my own one and put it in there. Because if you switch it on and you put it on the station, it'll drift away, you know, just a little bit, just a few kcs, but you can hear it starting to distort, and you just touch the dial and it's back on, and then it stays there. But that's obviously the voltage is drifting a little bit, so it takes a long time. Maybe it's just a bad cap in the little inverter. Fortunately, it's a separate little board sitting there in the one corner generating this tuning voltage. Maybe I must just monitor it and then replace all the caps on it. Not that there's a lot of them, maybe 2 or so. But if that doesn't cure it, I'll put my own design little thingy in there. Okay, what else? Okay, so the Grundig is still there in bits and pieces. You have to finish that. Okay, Peter, yeah, I saw your new fan. Yes, these new whisper quiet fans, they don't move a lot of air. You need a lot of them. Yes, your picture's okay, but not as sharp as DATV Red should be. So I wonder, maybe your camera. No, but I've seen sharper pictures from you. I don't know whether you're on autofocus or manual focus, Peter, but you're not as crisp. But yeah, very stable, and everything else is fine. Audio is not hi-fi, but you've got that other rubbish going there. Oh, and by the way, Mike, what happened to your Thunder? Your 17.5 cycles or whatever that you normally open your station with, it wasn't there today. That's an interesting one. And Phil, yeah, that's a good tip there, Mike, because when I had some boards made with KiCad, those organ boards, the slider control boards, I battled to get pads. So you said, no, you select a hole in the library, put some holes down and edit them, which I did, and that worked fine. But there was still solder mask on it. But the rest of the boards was fine. So it was just 4 pads that I had to just scratch off the solder mask. I didn't know that acetone will dissolve it, because I know normal thinners and stuff does nothing to it. But the acetone is a different animal. I should have tried acetone, but it's fairly brittle, so you can, with a nice jeweler screwdriver, you can scratch it off, and and I soldered them. Yeah. Okay, maybe I must look into where you switch off the solder mask on that hole. Or yeah, I think you said I must go into the mechanical departments and select a hole and put it there and edit it, which I did, and it worked fine. But I didn't think that the solder mask is going to cover it. But yeah, being just a mounting hole and not an electrical pad, they will mask it. Why they've made that slip up on that program, I don't know. It's still got some weird oddities about it, which I'm not used to. But anyway, it's the only way for me to have a commercial board made. I didn't feel like drilling all those zillions of holes in 10 boards. If it's just 1 or 2, it's okay, but for 10, Okay, so Peter's got a fan, and he's got a noise gate on, and he's got no hi-fi audio, and deathly silence when he stops talking. Right, Phil, yeah, okay, with your filter boards, yes. I hope your tracks are 50 ohm wide. But yeah, otherwise it looks fine. If you say you've swept it and it looks good, it's fine. And okay, Mike, the Pi box, yes, very neat, eh? Oh, I must fire up my 3D printer. Well, before that, I must activate my Fusion 360 again, because it's probably, I think every year you must fire it up again and so on. But I don't have a problem with them. The biggest problem is I forget how to operate it, because I must draw a little thing like this, and I must draw a shell for a microphone connector. I acquired a very nice, you probably know it, Peter, Mike, it's a 4-meter set, FM set. What do they call the thing? Here it is. Oh, lost me microphone. Right. This I got it from a fellow ham, and the article is written by Rig Pix. It's a Ascom SE550, whatever that means. It's a mid-band. It's for 70 megs. And the guy who wrote the new firmware for it to put it in the ham bands is a Papa Alpha something. When you switch it on, his call sign comes up on the display, and 70.1 or some 70.2 megs and so on. But a beautiful set, 25 watts output, nice sensitivity, all sorts of bells and whistles. The whole face of the thing is one large keypad. Anyway, it's got a very peculiar microphone connector. I got the microphone with it, but the cable where it enters is a bit buggered. Anyway, so fortunately the spacing of the pins is 2, 4, 6, 8. There's 8 pins in the set, so you've got this 8-pin female, but it's the standard 0.1 inch spacing, which is very fortunate. So I've got a lot of those little connectors where you can put the pins in and so on. So I replaced the microphone with a decent thing and a nice cable, but I want to print a little shell for it now to strain relieve the wires. But the set works beautifully. Now I must just make a 70 meg antenna. I know of at least one guy in Worcester who is on 70 megs, or his QRV on 70 megs. He obviously doesn't operate there because there's nobody to talk to. Anyway, then there's a few other fellas in the nearby towns, so we'll see if we can make contact on that. Anyway, for that I must get the Fusion 360 going so that I can print. And I want to print it in that flexible stuff. Oh, there goes the phone. Terrason. Now who on earth is that? Okay, Peter, you take it. GW7BZY for the group from
Okay. With the fan noise in the background, which is what I'm finding. And I've turned off my electronic makeup as well. Although I need it, I probably need it more than you do, than Gary, but definitely yours is just temporary, mine is permanent. Yeah, so I'm sorry about the soft focus, but it's not so much noise from this fan. I'll turn my audio down from the rate, but I was going to say that I have actually turned the sharpening on the camera up, but it's not that it's not only naturally sharpened, which a lot of these webcam type things are. I think a lot of people like yours, Leon, is very over sharpened, whereas this is and I've got no autofocus, so I've got just a B4 broadcast lens, and it's a standard resolution lens on a HD camera, but I'm not going to purchase a HD lens. Although I did see one going for quite cheap, and when they say cheap, about £1.50. So, you know, you could pay 64 grand for a broadcast lens, and none of it's very cheap. So I'm sticking with what I've got, and I've got one on the background there, which has got a B4 lens on, but it's not quite as wide angle, because this is a really super wide angle lens, and the camera is only sort of less than an arm's length from me. So that's how far my hand passes the lens. So it's a very good lens, and it's a very wide angle lens, and suits the environment it's been used. The other lens on the other camera at the top there on my it'll be on my left, probably on your right on the screen, is not as wide angle, so in this environment it would be a bit too close and have to sit over the other side of the room, which would make it difficult. So it is what it is. And resolution is different to sharpening. This is it's a good picture, a good enough picture, I would have thought, but there we are. As for the audio, I apologise, that is in the pipeline. I've turned all my processing off now on the audio, the microphone chain, but it is going through a 6-channel dynamic processor post microphone chain. I've got it, so I might as well use it. It used to be on the rack at the back there, but now it's operational. You didn't say what you were doing with your plants and your sensors there, Leon, which I was hoping you were going to tell us about, but I think Gary sort of gave us the answers to that. But excellent stuff. Mike there, sorry, I wasn't paying attention at the time. I was trying to get things working. I think what happened, my first over I transmitted on my standby figures when I was setting up, and that's the one thing I hadn't done was reset it. I said I'm not wholly familiar with DATV Red as I used to be, as I've been running DATV Easy for quite a while. But I think DATV Red works better. Although Gary's got an excellent picture. I think he's got a newer graphics card, and I had thought about buying a new PC with a new graphics card and better processing. But then I thought I'd just make do with what I got and then reprogram the because you can add a few lines of is it bash? I think it sounds like it should be pronounced bash, of a few lines of code into it, and you can change things, which is what I've done. And I think as long as I don't move my head around too much, I think also you'll gain the benefit, Mike, of Gary, of holding your head still when you speak, which is excellent, especially for this kind of transmission. But anyway, who am I handing it round to? Handing it round to Phil. Over to you, sir, from GW7BZY. In a partly sunny Wales. I thought I'd just add that, as we've had quite a pleasant day today. I've been over to dinner with the wife. Bought a coffee and a bag of chips, because it's Sunday. I like to spoil her. From GW7BZY. Are we going to do a test go? No.
God, bag of chips, Peter. I hope you put salt and vinegar on the floor. What a treat. Oh dear, oh dear. There we go. Yeah, Peter, I'm not a very good judge on video, I must admit. So I'll make no comment about video. Leon's the expert on video and audio, but I will comment on the audio. Yeah, with the noise gate removed, it's a lot better. As you said, you're not losing the beginning of words, etc. And there is a bit of fan noise in the background, but interestingly, it just sounds like white noise. Well, that's what it sounded like to me. But there we go. Yeah, Leon, solder masks. Yeah, there are in KiCad, there are layers where you can fiddle about with the mask, but I'm sure Mike will comment on it, so I shall refrain from making a fool of myself, because I am certainly no expert on it. One thing I also did during the week, well, more than one thing, for a long time I've suffered occasionally, intermittently, with the level of my transmission changing. And sometimes when I'll power it all up, I'm getting, I don't know, 5 dB more than what I have been getting, and I've never really got to the bottom of it. But it happened again during the week, and this time I went to town and I did lots of measurements through the ports down at various stages. So I've now got figures of the levels at various places in my ports down. And in the garden I have my PA, it's remote, and it's in a little wooden hut, and there is a controller in there. It sits in the power supply and it controls all sorts of things, some solid state relays in there and stuff like that. But one of the things that is in there is a digital attenuator, and it's all of that's controlled by an Arduino. And when I designed all of this, the issue that I encountered was that the Arduino is 5 volts output, but the digital attenuator is 3 volts. So right on the attenuator, I put a potential divider in there to knock it down to about 3 volts. And when I did a load of testing, I brought the whole unit up here, and I really went to town on it. And it went wrong while I was actually doing it. And what was going on was I was getting the digital attenuator, when it all powers up, etc., it's set it is set to minus 15 dB, so the attenuation is 15 dB. And what I found was that it wasn't 15 dB, it was maybe, when I had it up here, it was more like about 5 dB. And on investigation, I've put it down to the fact that my potential divider that I had on the digital attenuator, which is one of these little beasts. Oops, sorry about the noise, it's right next to the microphone. It's just one of those. Basically, it was useless. My potential divider was not, well, it was doing the job, but because this is quite high frequency stuff, the switching of it is quite fast. It didn't do the job, really. It was useless. And what I did, accidentally, I removed the potential divider from it, and I accidentally fed it with 5 volts on the control pins, and it worked fine, and it didn't do any damage. So I have now removed the divider on the control pins, and I'm running it for 5 volts instead of 3 volts, and it works fine. Now, at the end of the day, if I destroy it, well, I've destroyed it, but it works fine. Since I've done it, I haven't had any issues with it. So I think at the end of the day, that's what it was. It was basically the poor design of the potential divider, and yet the resistors were basically on the pins. But there you go. All being well, it will work. The worst case is that I actually blow one of these up. Well, I've actually got 2 spares, so if I do blow one, I'll have to go back and think about how to reduce the signals from 5 volts down to 3 without causing any problems. But at the moment it's running fine. Don't have any problems at all, so I might have got to the bottom of that. Well, I think that's about it, I think. I don't have any more to say. I think I should be here next week. I think I am. Not quite sure, but yeah, I should be here next week. But right, so that's it from me. So everybody have a good week, etc., etc. And I shall hand it over to Mike. So let's me find my test card. Oh, let's have my favourite test card. Oh, where is it? I've got to find it now. Test card 2, it's not that one. Oh, this is the one. This is the test card I like. Brings back memories.
Okay, right. By having them together, hopefully you can hear Leon. The hum still is there, it was just at a lower level. So there you go. G0MJW. Bit of a panic there because I had to change the filament and I messed it up slightly, but I've done it now. Hopefully it's going to be okay. We will see when it finishes printing, falls apart. Yeah, it was the ITU club station I was at, Gary. I'm hoping to use QO-100, but the station isn't set up yet, so that failed to occur, but maybe next time. Now, we were talking about FreeCAD and then KeyCAD, and I haven't prepared this, by the way, but this is an old project and demo I did for the BATC back in 2023, at CAP 23 rather, which was 2023, and how to do what we were talking about with solder masks. And I think what you need to do is you need to select the right layer, which would be front mask in this case, and then you need to basically generate a filled layer. So let's do something here. I don't know if you're seeing that. You should be able to see it. So hopefully that will provide the mask. It's not showing it at the moment, but basically that's what you do. You put yourself on the right layer, and yeah, there you go. It's showing up now. I don't know if you can see that on this side, but that is supposedly PCB colour. It's not ideal. And you've got rid of your solder mask, so you can solder onto it. Anyway, that's the idea. Good. Go back to me. Let me just close that down. No, I don't want to save any changes. Hopefully that tells you. Okay, not much else to come from me, but interesting net. And the thing is still printing. I did manage to do the bit that I was trying to do with the speaker. I managed to make it smaller, but unfortunately it's still not quite the right shape. So I can make it not fit better. Right. Okay. I don't think there's anyone else to be passed on to apart from probably Gary. Let me just check actually, because I haven't checked the list. Ah, Bert says he's. Oh no, sorry, that was the last time. No one else. So it's back to Gary. ZS6YI, G0MJW7 for you all.
Okay, Mike. Very good indeed. And just want to... Oops, let me just cut the audio. I just want to thank everybody for coming up on Frequency today. Always good. And so far we've got 50 viewers on, 18 concurrent. There was 22 concurrent on YouTube. Yeah, that was a bit of a panic station. Couldn't get the thing to accept the stream. It's the second time this has happened. However, I think it's all sorted. Yeah, Peter, I have no problem with your picture or your audio, actually. To me, it sounded great and a good picture. You can have all the electronics in the world, Peter, and that goes for me as well. But there's nothing they can do to change the look of our face. We are born with what we have. Anyway, be that as it may. We just have to go with what we've got. Yeah, anyway, as long as everyone has a good signal, that's all that counts. There's no competition. And, you know, if you consider what we are doing on 333 kilosymbols, it's actually quite remarkable. I remember when I first came on with Leon back in, 2019, I think, or 2018, we could achieve what we've got now only on one megasymbol. So things have definitely improved, there's no doubt. And all stations today on Frequency have excellent signals. It's really remarkable. And that's thanks to many people doing a lot of research in the background and a lot of midnight oil burning, I presume. Okay, Mike, yeah, on the ITU, of course, you did say, but I got my P's and Q's a bit mixed up there. Apologies for that, my bad. But we got that straightened, yeah, and maybe Leon can, just in closing, tell us more about the pins in the plants. Phil, I like your comment. You're going to get the woke brigade that's going to complain. Oh, the hell, that's for sure. The world's in a crazy place, I can tell you. With that, I'm going to close the station and the net. I will pass it to Leon in case he wants to just comment. But I do also want to take the opportunity, by the way, of thanking the Qatar satellite company for allowing us the opportunity to have the satellite on their satellite, piggybacking with theirs. We're using their power source, and without that assistance, this definitely would not have been possible. There is talk about a new satellite going up over the Americans, which we will be able to work from here. So I wonder, I must actually speak to some of my friends who are directors at AMSAT DL and find out what the latest background is. Although they do tell me, and then I'm not allowed to retransmit that. However, it is interesting all the same. With that, we wish everybody a very happy week. Thanks to the 51 listeners or viewers now on YouTube. And we hope to see you guys next week. So, Leon, if you want to just comment on the musical instrument, you go right ahead. And with that, I close the station, or the net. ZS1 Mike, possibly, from ZS6YI, bidding everybody on Frequency. Happy week. See you guys next week, all being equal.
Okay, thanks Gary. ZS6YI and the group basically having signed ZS1 Mike for a final feedback. Okay, firstly, Phil, your problem with the voltage divider is that your voltage divider was too high in impedance. Then you get that sort of thing. Your two resistors must be of a lower value but the same ratio. Can't be too low because the Arduino doesn't have much source capability, but at least it should have enough to drive that thing, as you've seen. You'll probably notice that if you measure the actual voltage now on the pin, that the load of the attenuator was enough to pull down the the Arduino to probably around 3 volts or so. Anyway, that's that one. Okay, Peter, sorry, I missed 99% of your over. I had to switch off the sound because the phone rang, remember, and it was the people down at the airfield. In 1986 I built a system for switching on the landing lights at night. When you come in with your plane, you just click 5 times and all the runway lights will come on, and when you've landed and you've taxied off, you just key it 7 times and the landing lights go off. And it's been working faultlessly since 1986. But now for some other reason they want to test it in the daytime, but it's not going to work. They didn't realize that there's also a day-night sensor, so that if people forget to switch the freaking things off, at least during the day it'll be switched off by the sun. So they have to cover the photocell with a black bag or something if they want to check it during the daytime. Because some of them are so nervous, you know, click, 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 click. It won't register on that. It must be roughly ½ seconds. Click, 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 and they'll come on. Anyway, so unfortunately I did not get your over, Peter. It was only right at the end that I could switch the audio back on. Okay, this plant thing, what she wants is, I've seen videos of it at some exhibitions and things where they have plants, and if you touch the plant, it'll either start talking or it'll do something or whatever, some audio thing. Now she says no, she doesn't need that. It must just make a tone, and the tone must vary according to the pressure or whatever you do to the plant, which is very similar to the what do you call that thing that I built for her last time, where you play it with your hands. You never touch it. It's the only instrument ever that you play it without touching it. The theremin. The theremin. And it was designed by Leon Theremin, a Russian guy. So I made a modern version of it. And she was thrilled with that thing. It works very well. But anyway, so she wants it, if you take the plant and you bend it or something, it must just make a tone and change the pitch. Very basic. So you have to start by sensing this motion electrically. So I've seen some things on the internet where they put 2 electrodes in a plant, and then they can sense something. So I built up a little thing here on the breadboard earlier today, and I've got the pins in the plant too. But I think I've got too much gain because it keeps on drifting from the galvanic action. Maybe you must use either platinum or gold pins or something that doesn't have the galvanic action with the plant juices. But yeah, the idea is to be able to sense disturbance on the plant, get an electrical signal off that, so that you can modulate or oscillator or something, some tone generating thing, and change the pitch. That's what that's all about. So okay, that's it from me, from ZS1 Mike saying cheerio 73s.
Quite an interesting thing. And the next thing is she'll want you to talk to it, and it will want to answer you. So it never ends. 73 all ZS6YI, now closing station.